Welcome to Training Session 3 of GMA's Affordable Care Act training sessions. This training session is on minimum essential coverage reporting, the 6055 reporting that uses 1094 and 1095B forms. This ACA training session is for informational purposes only and is not legal advice or a substitute for legal advice. It is designed only for employers that offer the health plan administered by the Georgia Municipal Association on behalf of the Georgia Municipal Employees Benefit System, and it contains information that is not applicable to other employers. This ACA training session reflects the presenter's understanding of certain requirements of the Affordable Care Act as they existed on June 1st, 2015. This ACA training session is not an official document of the health plan. Only the official health plan documents establish the terms of the health plan. A quick recap of all training sessions available on our GMA website. Session 1 was waiting period rules and how to determine applicable large employer ALE status. All participating employers that offer the GMEB's health coverage are strongly encouraged to review that Session 1. This Session 3 is the minimum essential coverage reporting, 6055 reporting on the 1094 and 1095B forms. Generally, we encourage employers that are not applicable large employers to review this session as well. Sessions 2 and Session 4 are designed for applicable large employers. They review the pay or play penalty rules and the C-series forms that are used to report whether pay or play penalties are due. All of these training sessions are posted on the GMA website. The big question for 6055 reporting with the B forms is who has minimum essential coverage. There's one report that goes to the IRS, and it includes a copy of all the reports that go to the employees, and the other report goes to employees, individuals who are actually enrolled in minimum essential coverage. What's the reason for these reports? Well, under the ACA, every individual must have minimum essential coverage, qualify for an exemption, or pay a tax penalty. The taxpayer pays a penalty if his or her dependents do not have minimum essential coverage or an exemption. Why does this matter now? The filings are due at the end of January and February 2016. Participating employers have the legal obligation to report minimum essential coverage. It's important to know that GMA will not file the B forms, but will help. GMA will provide a data file and/or will prepare the B forms and send to the participating employer for filing if the employer submits a certification and request form by August 1st. Asking GMA for data file and B form preparation help. Please see the June memorandum entitled Affordable Care Act Mandatory Reporting Requirements for All Participating Employers of Any Size and the attached certification and request forms. The certification and request forms show what information will be provided in the data file, if it's requested, and how GMA will fill out the B forms, if requested. If the certification and request form is submitted to GMA by August 1st, GMA can provide the requested information and/or B forms by the first week in January. Remember, the employer will have to mail the B forms to enrollees by January 31st, which is not much time, and mail the B forms to the IRS by February 29th. So why doesn't GMA have to file the forms if it has the information? Well, for purposes of these filings, the GMEB's health plan is considered to be a self-insured, employer-sponsored coverage maintained by a multiple employer welfare arrangement, and the law requires that each participating employer file the forms. You may see the term multi-employer plan in the instructions or in other materials. Please be aware the GMEB's health plan is not a multi-employer plan. That is a defined term, and it means a union plan, a plan that's governed by collective bargaining agreements. So whenever the instructions use the term plan sponsor or coverage provider, that means the employer. GMA can help, but the employer must submit a help wanted certification and request. Here is how GMA can help if the certification and request is submitted by August 1st. please review the certification and request form carefully and submit it by August 1st, 2015. This request form includes all the information and explanations about what GMA can do. If requested in this form, GMA can prepare the B forms and send an electronic version to the primary benefits contact, and or provide the primary benefits contact a data file containing information needed to complete the B forms. The B forms and data file will reflect information that is in the GMA systems on December 31st, 2015. So it's very important to make sure that all enrollment changes are up to date. If the forms are going to be accurate, you need to make sure that all enrollment information has been sent to GMA so that the system contains accurate information on December 31st, 2015. Let's learn about the Bs. First, there's the 1094B. That is a transmittal form, and when you transmit that form, you are going to attach the full Social Security number version of the 1095B forms. The transmittal form and all the attached 1095B forms will go to the IRS. The 1095B form goes to each responsible individual. For security purposes, this version of the form can use only the last 4 digits of the Social Security number. It will be just like all the forms that are attached to the transmittal form, but it will only have the last 4 digits of the Social Security number. The 6055 report shows that the individual has minimum essential coverage. All GMEB's health plan options provide minimum essential coverage. The B forms give the name of the employer and list the individuals covered under the employer's health plan. The IRS uses the forms to verify that the taxpayer has minimum essential coverage, and taxpayers keep the employee statement form as proof that they have minimum essential coverage. Who uses these B series forms? Well, it depends on the employer size. For small employers, those that are not applicable large employers, they complete these forms for all enrolled, active, and former employees. So these forms would be completed for all active employees, all appointed elected officials, COBRA participants, retirees in the active plan, and retirees in the retiree-only plan. It's for anybody who is enrolled in GMEB's coverage as a result of their current or former employment with the small employer. Applicable large employers may only use these B forms for enrolled former employees, COBRA participants and retirees, for example. They could also choose to report that coverage using the more complicated 6056 reporting C forms instead. Large employers have a choice. They may choose to file B forms in addition to the C forms they already have to file. These applicable large employers have to self-report pay or play penalty status using the 1094C and 1095C forms. These ALEs must report minimum essential coverage in Part 3 of the 1095C form for anyone who was an active employee during the year or a dependent of one. ALEs may use C forms to report for non-employees, or they may file C forms and B forms, with the B forms only reporting on non-employees. In this situation, the ALE may ask GMA to prepare the B forms. Training Session 4 discusses filing with the C forms. What if the employer doesn't pay for the coverage or collect premiums? Well, it doesn't matter if the employer is paying any part of the coverage. All individuals enrolled in the employer's health plan must be reported. So employers that offer retirees coverage, either in their active plan or in the retiree-only plan, must report the coverage to the IRS and send the retirees the report. The 1094B IRS transmittal form provides very simple information: the name of the employer identification number, and the name of the person to contact. That person is responsible for answering questions about the form or about enrollment. Do not name anyone at GMA as the contact for this form. It also includes the street address of the employer and the total number of forms 1095B that are going to be submitted with the transmittal form. This is what it looks like for Happy City. Happy City has a benefits clerk. Henrietta Clerk, the city clerk, serves as the main benefits contact, and it includes the address of Happy City, and the please note there's a in the line 8, it includes the country code. Henrietta Clerk is filing 15 1095B forms along with this 1094B transmittal form. This is what the 1095B form looks like, and this will be, Henrietta Clerk will complete 15 of these, one for each covered employee. The 1095B form will complete it 2 times. The IRS will get a copy of the 1095B that has the full Social Security number, and the primary responsible individual, usually the employee or former employee who enrolled, gets a copy of the 1095B with only the last 4 digits of the Social Security number. The employer may provide the exact same form to both the IRS and the individual, but this is not recommended due to security issues. So Part 1 of the 1095B statement. GMA will provide the information for lines 1 through 7. It includes the name of the enrolled employee or former employee, Social Security number, and address. Line 8, you will enter B. This is the code for employer-sponsored coverage. For line 9, leave it blank. Part 2, this entire section should be left blank. The form is confusing, but the instructions for plan sponsors state employers reporting self-insured group health plan coverage on Form 1095B enter code B on line 8 but do not complete Part 2. If you entered code B for self-insured coverage, skip Part 2 and go to Part 3. In Part 3, enter the name of the employer, the EIN, the contact phone number, which will be the same as the contact phone number on the transmittal form, and the employer address. Here is a completed 1095B Parts 1, 2, and 3. John Smith works for Happy City. Part 1 of this form shows that John Smith is enrolled in minimum essential coverage. Part 2 is left blank. Part 3 shows that the coverage is provided by Happy City, and the telephone number for the Happy City benefits contact is the correct number to call for questions about enrollment. In Part 4, first enter the name of the enrolled employee or former employee listed in Part 1 and the Social Security number, and check the months during which he or she was enrolled. Then add the name and Social Security number of each dependent and check the months of enrollment. If the Social Security number for the dependent does not exist or is not available after the employer has acted in a responsible manner by requesting it, enter the date of birth. Do not add the date of birth unless the Social Security number is missing. GMA will provide information for Part 4 in its report to the participating employer. Here is an example of completed Part 4. Part 4 of 1095B form tells the IRS which months John Smith and his family members had minimum essential coverage. John Smith started work for Happy City February 1st, 2015 and enrolled his family in coverage effective March 1st, 2015. Newborn Smith was born September 1st, 2015 and did not have a Social Security number on the date of the preparation of the form. The employer must file all 1095B statements with the full Social Security number, along with the 1094B transmittal form with the IRS. All employers may file electronically, but if GMA prepares the B forms, the employer will have to file them by mail. Only employers filing fewer than 250 forms may file by mail. The deadline for filing is February 28th of the year following the year being reported, filing by first-class mail, or March 31st if filing electronically. For 2016, that will actually be February 29th. Employers must provide the 1095B statement to each enrolled responsible individual. That will be the employee, former employee, or person who made an independent COBRA election. That's the same form that is also filed with the IRS, but the employer may use the last 4 digits of the Social Security number, and that's what's recommended for security purposes. The 1095B statement must be mailed by first-class mail to the last known address. There are rules about electronic delivery, but the requirements to get written consent really make it much more of a hassle than it's worth. The deadline for filing is January 31st of the year following the year being reported. Remember, this is before the deadline for sending them to the IRS. For active employees, the statement may be mailed or hand-delivered in accordance with W-2 delivery rules. This just shows the same portion of the 1095B form with the truncated Social Security numbers. Henrietta Clerk mails the statement with John Smith's W-2 before the January 31st deadline. Thank you for participating in this training session. If you have questions, please feel free to call me.